There are certainly questions we rarely ask ourselves. Others, though we ask them, don't always receive satisfying answers. But if you're someone who, like us, hungers for truth and seeks to uncover the mysteries that have stirred debate for centuries, then you are in the right place. Get comfortable, because what follows is rich in discovery, teaching, revelation, and a deepening of faith. In this video, we will explore a fascinating and ancient mystery. What language did the first humans speak? The Bible tells us that the first humans were Adam and Eve. In Genesis 1, it says, "So God created man in his own image, in the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them." But the Bible does not explicitly tell us what language Adam and Eve spoke. However, over the centuries, clues in scripture and various religious traditions have inspired many interpretations. In Genesis 2, when Adam first sees Eve, he says, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man." In Hebrew, the words ish and man and isha, woman, sound similar, leading some to believe that Adam and Eve spoke Hebrew. However, this wordplay exists only in Hebrew, and may not reflect the actual language spoken by the first humans. Jewish and Christian traditions often suggest that Hebrew was the original language, God's divine tongue given to Adam. But most modern scholars agree that Hebrew, as we know it, developed much later, around 1000 BCE. In the Middle Ages, the concept of an Adamic language emerged, a perfect divine language spoken in Eden and lost after the fall. Some believe it may have been a proto-language, the ancestor of many modern languages. From a linguistic perspective, all languages evolve. Even if Adam and Eve spoke a form of early Hebrew, it would have been vastly different from biblical Hebrew. As one scholar notes, the Adamic language had over 1,800 years to evolve before Noah, and Hebrew had several centuries more before being written down. Genesis 11 tells the story of the Tower of Babel, a key moment in the history of language. Now the whole world had one language and one speech. This story is often seen as a continuation of the Adamic language, a single universal language that God later confused to scatter humanity. This explains the origin of linguistic diversity. According to the Bible, it was not a natural process but a divine intervention. Interestingly, the Bible is not the only place this idea appears. The ancient Sumerians told a similar story, known as the Babel of Tongues, in which the god Enki confused humanity's speech. These narratives show that early civilizations were wrestling with the origins of languages. The story of Babel reflects on the power of language to unite or divide. It speaks to the challenges of translation, the limits of understanding, and the beauty of linguistic diversity. Many traditions attempt to answer what the language of Adam and Eve was. In Jewish rabbinic texts, Adam is said to have spoken Hebrew, the holy language. Some believed he used Hebrew letters to name creation. The philosopher Judah Halevi supported this idea in the Kuzari. In Islamic traditions, some hadith suggest Adam spoke Arabic, although this is not universally accepted. Others propose a unique language of Adam that has since been lost. In Christianity, figures like Dante Alighieri originally believed the Adamic language was Hebrew. Later, he revised this view, suggesting that Adam's language was different but still divine. Throughout history, scholars have proposed different theories. In the Renaissance, Johannes Goropius Becanus suggested the Antwerp dialect of Dutch was the original language, because it was, in his view, the simplest. As Europeans discovered new languages, they began to understand the complexity and evolution of communication. By the 17th and 18th centuries, thinkers like John Locke questioned whether Hebrew names for animals in Genesis really carried divine knowledge. In the 19th century, comparative linguistics introduced proto-languages like Proto-Indo-European, the ancestor of many modern languages such as English, Hindi, and Russian. Yet even these proto-languages are only a few thousand years old. Linguists have proposed macro-families such as Nostratic or even Proto-World, but these ideas remain speculative due to the limitations of historical reconstruction. Scientifically, we know that language likely evolved gradually, possibly independently in different groups. Human language is estimated to be tens of thousands of years old, but our current linguistic tools can only trace language history back 6,000, 8,000 years with any reliability. Even though genetics can show human migration, They cannot pinpoint which languages were spoken. Some words like I, we, two, and three may be very old, but this doesn't reveal the exact language of Eden. Despite all this, many religious traditions describe the Adamic language as perfect, pure, and divine. In the 16th century, John Dee called it angelic speech. Some believed it had the power to perfectly name reality. Others imagined it as telepathic, a language of pure truth without lies or confusion. In Latter-day Saint tradition, some early leaders claimed revelations about words from this language, describing it as undefiled and sacred. Literature has long speculated on the Adamic tongue. John Milton in Paradise Lost imagines it as poetic and lofty. C.S. Lewis in Out of the Silent Planet envisions a language so pure that deception is impossible. Kabbalistic texts speak of Hebrew letters as divine building blocks of creation. Islamic scholars also reflect on whether Arabic is sacred, or whether Adam's language was something entirely unique. Modern thinkers sometimes use the concept of the Adamic language as a metaphor for perfect communication or spiritual unity. Umberto Eco's The Search for the Perfect Language explores this quest in depth. These stories, though not linguistically factual, show humanity's deep desire to understand our origin and our relationship with the divine. And as Christians, we must approach them with curiosity and discernment. While they offer cultural and theological insight, the true message of Eden is not about a lost language, but about God's presence, our harmony with Him, and our call to reflect His love. Whether we speak French, English, Swahili, Arabic, or Mandarin, let us use our language to bless, to heal, and to share the good news of Jesus Christ. Because in the end, it is not the language of words that matters most, but the language of love. In the early church, many believed Hebrew was the language of Adam and Eve, because it was the language of Scripture. Church fathers like St. Augustine supported this view, but as understanding deepened, interpretations changed. From Renaissance thinkers to modern linguists, many have tried to reconstruct the language of paradise. But what matters is not whether we can recover Adam's tongue, it is whether we live in the spirit of Eden. The language of Eden was the language of perfect communion with God. Our mission is not to recreate it, but to live it. Language is a divine gift. Every language reflects a facet of God's creativity. Each one allows us to express our humanity and our worship in a unique way. Let us use whatever language we speak to spread love, build bridges, and glorify God. For in the diversity of tongues, we see the infinite beauty of God's creation. And above all, let us speak the language that unites all people, the language of love. As we walk in faith, let our lives become the language through which the world hears about God's presence. We've now reached the end of our exploration. We hope this journey has brought knowledge, edification, and a deeper faith. If it has, we invite you to like this video, leave a comment, and above all, subscribe and activate the bell, so you never miss one of our future journeys into truth, revelation, and wisdom. May God bless you, and see you very soon for our next journey.